Hello, hello, and happy Monday, Cody. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I've had a whole weekend to recover from the Friday live stream that we did, so
I love
feeling good.
this. I love this. For those of you that are joining us live, my name is Lacey McCarty. I am your Las Vegas real estate bestie here in Las Vegas, and I do my best, my darndest to help you relocate from where you are to where you want to be, which is, of course, right here in my neon hometown. Today, I'm bringing on my channel, and I'm being brought onto his channel. Cody Lewis, and I are partnering up to do some fun stuff with you guys online every single Monday through Friday this month, this August 2025, Monday through Friday. Why are we doing this, Cody? Talk to me about the behind the scenes conversation that everybody thinks realtors are having.
Yeah, actually, this was something that you and I were discussing recently, and love the idea of coming out here on these live streams and talking about this out in the open. You said it really well. You said that there's sometimes this perception that realtors go into this closet and have these like back room conversations that they don't want clients to hear. And you know what? There may be some realtors doing that, but the best thing will be where these kinds of conversations that I'm going to be having directly with realtors and training and coaching and mentoring, I want the buyers and sellers to hear this stuff because it's all coming from a place of total good faith, and it's only healthy for those clients to be hearing what things are important to realtors also and why we do what we do.
Absolutely. So if you're first time joining, again, my name is Lacey. This is Cody Lewis. Cody is a mentor of mine in the real estate space and business space in general. Actually, he's an amazing mentor who's been doing this for a long, long, long time and has educated how many hundreds of thousands of realtors do you think you've educated? I don't even know.
I don't know if it's hundreds of thousands. That would be awesome, but
Hundreds or thousands or
yeah, yeah.
thousands or thousands.
Come on, I was trying to get to
Um,
hundreds of thousands there. I thought you were
we're not.
getting there.
We'll get there. We're gonna get there. But Cody is an
Definitely in the
amazing
hundreds.
educator. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely in the
amazing
hundreds.
educator.
Been teaching CE in Las Vegas for lots of years and do about 100 hours a year. So I don't know how many realtors that turns out to be, but there's quite a few.
I love it. Sorry if there's a small delay. It seems to be an audio issue on my side. So if there's anybody watching, forgive us if we sample on each other or trample on each other a little bit. We'll get this thing going. If you're watching live, the goal for both of us is this is being streamed on both my channels to people who might be considering buying or selling a home and or relocating to Las Vegas, and to Cody's channels, which is mainly focused on business and real estate. So for us, it's exciting. We get to bring these conversations to the forefront so that there's no backdoor conversations happening. We want everybody to know everything. There may be moments in this conversation where we start to talk specifically to realtors, but we want you to know what that looks like. And then vice versa. If you're a realtor, listen to how we speak to our clients. So today is an exciting day because we're talking about new construction in general. Like is it really worth it, basically, from a buying perspective, and from a real estate perspective, a realtor perspective? How can you win in this space? How can you protect your clients in this space, and how can you do it the right way? I personally built my entire career in real estate on new builds to start. And I didn't work for a builder. I worked for myself. And I'm really proud of how I went about doing that. And I know that the way, the structure that I've put behind it for my business is definitely going to indicate to clients as well as to realtors that we speak to today what can be done and what should be done. So if you're watching it live, please, no matter where you're watching from, please drop it like it's hot. Comment below. Let us know you're here. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us if you have questions. This is meant to be interactive for everyone. And I know Cody's excited to see if realtors are actually tuning in. So let's make this happen for Cody. Okay.
Yep.
All right, Cody, let's kick off and just talk new builds in general, pros and cons about what would make someone want to move to into a new build versus a resale. A lot of the stuff that we hear when clients call us, and then we'll talk through some of those things.
Yeah, I mean, we know what clients are thinking because we talk with our clients and they tell us. Lots of
Yeah,
people really love the appeal of purchasing a home that nobody else has ever lived in. You know that you're going to make it 100% your own, and everything in the house is new. So there's an idea of not having to worry about as many things, and basically just be able to turnkey move into it, not have to do a bunch of honey-do list projects, which I
absolutely.
enjoy that sometimes.
I know you're a honeydew. You're like, give me the list. Your wife and you have like a farm, and you have all this really cool stuff that you guys are always doing. But this is a gross way to say it, but I've had a client once say to me, "I like to know that there's nobody's toenail clippings in the carpet." And I was like, Okay, that's that. We can do a deep clean for you to make sure that's the case, but okay. But for me, there's a lot of pros for going into new building, right? Just all the stuff that you said, the idea of like, I built this, I chose this, this is for me. The cons on the other side with new builds can come into play when it comes to like the lending aspect of it. So there's a lot. We'll talk incentives deeply in a minute, so stay tuned. If you're a realtor and or a buyer seller, we're going to go deep on the incentives and how they can either make or break your transaction or your deal. But they'll lure you in with some amazing incentives, which is a huge pro. They might buy your rate down. They might pay for your closing costs. The con on that side, though, is that the lending teams that work with the builders are not always the most creative, the most available, and they don't really need to be, right? They're doing churning the butter. They're doing volume, and which is wonderful. I love that there's so many people being helped and taking advantage. The other part is that it can get a little tricky if something comes up that might not allow you to take advantage of that incentive any longer. They're not going to do the legwork unless we push them or someone pushes them to make sure that it's done on your behalf. So the lending side can be a little tricky, a little scary. Did we have a client recently that we were talking about that had that happen where the lender kind of bait and switch them a little bit in the middle of the process? Cody, would you share that?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that the builder incentives is a double-edged sword. And whether you're the buyer or the buyer's agent representing the buyer, this is something that you want to really understand exactly what it is. Don't just take what the pretty packaging looks like. You got to open up the present and look and see what you're actually getting. Is there just a rock inside of there? And then as you go through the transaction, you got to make sure that that is actually being delivered on, right? So like,
Yep.
especially with respect to the incentives that come on from the builder's lender, because
Yeah.
we had a client who the builder lender offered a certain rate and certain terms. And then we got past some of the like due diligence periods for that buyer. And the lender came back and said, oh, hey, I can't quite do that same deal. And so we went into full negotiation mode.
Yeah.
And we ran a bunch of numbers. We ended up having to renegotiate that whole thing, and we got it figured out for the guy.
Yeah.
But they were definitely trying to switch it on him and
Yeah.
making him think that he didn't have a lot of options at this point because he was already committed to it.
Right. So we'll talk a little bit more. There's pros, there's cons. I love all of that. The biggest thing I want to say, and it's just proof in the pudding, and you just mentioned, realtors know this. Realtors know that you need to have, I'm going to put this on here. You need to have a realtor with you, not on just the first visit, before you go to see a new build. And if you as a realtor are not slamming this into your clients' heads and making sure they understand why this is so important, listen up, because it's vital. So the biggest thing for us, and when I work with buyers and sellers, and a lot of people will say, well, that you only want me to take you with me because that makes sure you get paid. Well, of course, it absolutely confirms that we are aligned in business and that, yes, I am working for you on your behalf with the builder. Yeah, I need to get paid. Yes, of course. The reality of the situation is exactly what Cody just mentioned when it comes to some of the stuff that happens that I'm not saying the builders are deceitful. I'm not saying that they're doing anything outwardly wrong, but through the process of what happens, there can be a lot of miscommunication. If you don't have a realtor who is assigned to you in their system before you even go on that first visit, if you are not with your realtor or have not been registered by your realtor, you're on your own when it comes to those moments. And it's really sad because a lot of people, I've seen at least 6 people not listen to me, go in. It was Sunday after church. We just wanted to go check out the houses. It was such a cute little neighborhood. They were doing balloons. They were giving away free, whatever. They walked through, they signed a document. I'm out. I can't help them any longer. I got 6 people at least. I've gotten a phone call halfway through the deal. Wait, what do I do? They're telling me this and they're leaving me no option. And the reality is the way it was worded says there's no option. But if you had a realtor who's working with you, they would know how to work through and get around that. So I know that it seems silly and it's just a Sunday afternoon after church. But if you're a buyer and you're in Las Vegas or you're touring around trying to figure out what neighborhoods might be the right fit for you, do not under any circumstances go without letting me, my team know, or your realtor who you're working with know in advance so that they can dial you in. If they can't be there, there's usually ways around that. The other thing too, just as I'd love to throw this out there, Cody, is get to know the sales team realtors. That's the way that you can overcome some of these moments. Like that's how I built my entire career. Is I went and brought gift cards and coffee and muffins and whatever I could for a full year to every single community and became best friends with a lot of the people who were in charge of making those decisions on the front line to make sure that the clients are taken care of. Because there's a lot of layers in that. Will you talk a little bit about kind of that front when it comes to realtors?
Yeah, I mean, look, a sports team would never hire the head coach the day of the first game.
Right.
That, there's a lot of things you got to do in the beginning to prepare for when it's game time. And lots of times when a buyer walks onto the site of a builder, even if they think that that's just them getting their head around what's available,
Hmm.
what are the other options out there, that's not how the builder sees it. The builder sees it as this is game time. And they
Yep.
hired their head coach a long time ago. They've been
Yeah.
practicing for a long time. They're very good at saying, oh, it's okay if you do it this way. And you definitely want to, there's things that you want to be aware of before you go to a builder, and that is just how
Yes.
does it fit into the broader general market.
Right. Yep, absolutely. Just a quick reminder for those of you who are watching us live, if you're watching as a buyer or seller from my channels, hello, thank you. Nice to see you. Do me a favor. I've got let me put it up here if I can put it on there. I've got a little QR code right here. You're welcome to scan that. Let's set up a time to talk. I don't care if you're moving now or 25 years from now. I just want to really know kind of where you're at. Don't make the mistake of being a Sunday shopper who pops in and then gets lured in and all of a sudden you're registered without me and then I can't help you. We're going to talk a lot more about some opportunities related to that. If you're a realtor who's watching this, look at this. Cody's got his, I have to put my hand up because I got to change the font color, but Cody's got his first ever QR code. So if you're a realtor who's interested in learning more about the business or having someone like Cody coach you, please, for the love of goodness, scan that code right now. These links are also included in the description, of course. But Cody, look at your cute little QR code.
Yeah, I love it.
See, I'm helping you out here. Okay. So back to it. So again, know before you go, right? So make sure that you know a little bit in advance. As a realtor, you better be out there booking the time or walking through or bringing in building the relationships, if you will, with the people who are on site. Agents, it's crucial. That's the most crucial part of the entire experience is relationships at builders. And I've learned that over the last 8-9 years. From a buyer perspective, they're luring people in with some big offers right now. And so that is definitely one of the biggest reasons that I'm seeing a lot of people make the choice to go towards new build. There is an opportunity to get a little more for your money when you're doing resale. We're going to talk through a lot of that in a few minutes, but the incentives are the main thing. And I would love if we can just jump into those incentives and kind of how those work. You explain it better than anybody, Cody. Talk to me about why is it that builders are able to go, we'll give you 4.99 and we'll pay for your closing costs. How is it possible that builders can do that when the rest of the country is getting these higher rates?
Yeah. So first of all, let me just mention again that what's happening is that builders don't ever want to bring prices down. So as the supply and demand fluctuates in a marketplace and prices go up and down naturally over time, builders like to see a steady increase. And so they're offering these different incentives. And the incentive is there's some cost associated with that to the builder. With respect to these low rates that they're offering, they are purchasing something that in the lending world is called a forward commitment. They are committing to a certain tranche of money, certain millions of dollars that they're going to place. And they're paying the lender for the right to that tranche of money at a certain interest rate that they can offer to their clients, to the buyers. And so it's just a way to make it so that it's easier for a buyer to get into a home, because if the general market rates are 6 or 7% and a builder's coming at you at 4 to 5%, then
Mm-hmm.
it, makes your monthly payment lower. It makes it juicier. And so they're purchasing those things in advance and they're offering it as a way to not have to reduce the sales price of the home to incentivize people into the deal. Now, the thing that you got to be careful of is that lots of buyers focus only on the rate.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a cost associated with that rate. There's fees, there's lender fees that are associated with that. So this wasn't a new build, but I have a friend of mine who one time said that he had gotten a 2% interest rate on his mortgage. And
Whoa.
yeah, and it was a refi. And even when the rates were really low, this was lower than what it should have been. And I was like, that really is a good deal. Let's figure out how you did that. Well, he had to add $12,000 to his loan balance. So he had purchased that down to the 2%, but he didn't realize that there was a cost associated with that. So in one of
Got
my
it.
CE classes that I teach, it's actually called Dirty Secrets of the Mortgage Industry. How good is that title?
One of my favorite classes that you teach. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so we go through in that class, we go through what's called the LE, the loan estimate, and make sure that realtors really understand how to read that so that they can take their buyers through it as well. But there's all these numbers on the loan estimate, and when you're comparing loans, only a couple of sections actually matter because all the rest are things like title fees, which the lender
Right.
doesn't control and the builder doesn't control, things like that. And so to really understand how to read that, get to the bottom of those numbers will allow you as a realtor to help your buyer know if they're really getting a good deal or not.
Right. And same thing goes. I wish clients were able to take these classes from you as well, because not that we want clients to go and feel like they need to be experts. That's our job, is to be the experts and be the representation of protection and looking out for them. But I just think it's really interesting to be able to be new to this industry, as I was 9 years ago, 8, 9 years ago, and have nobody sit me down and talk me through a loan estimate for a very, very long time. And to now look back and think, man, if I just even knew this when I bought my own house before I was a realtor at all, it would have just made me feel so much more confident in what I was doing. So thank you for that explanation. I don't, for anybody watching, whether you're a realtor or whether you're somebody who's thinking about moving to Vegas, like, this is information that we want to make sure you know is out on the table. This is how we talk to each other when no clients are around, right? We're always trying to educate each other to be the best realtors that we can be and to serve you as clients at the highest level. And knowing stuff like this, most realtors don't take the time to learn this stuff. We are committed to trying to help not only realtors learn this, but also our clients. So incentives can make or break the deal, though. So we talked a little bit before. If you're just joining us live, please comment with any questions or anything of that nature. But we talked a little bit before, if you weren't here, about how there's been moments where our clients got like an amazing deal, 4.99% rate. They're going to have all their $27,000 in free upgrades. They're going to get a brand new home in a brand new neighborhood. It's too good to be true. It doesn't have to be too good to be true. But what will happen, though, is once they get past some of those deadlines where their money goes hard, is what we call it, or their money is no longer refundable if they change their mind, then all of a sudden, sometimes some things can change, and oh, that incentive isn't available anymore, or oh, we're not sure if that's going to be able to be worked out for you. Without us by your side, it's likely the case with us, or with a strong realtor by your side, we should be at that point game time going in and figuring things out. But that can be the moment where you go without having somebody there to look out for you. And also, it happens often. It's not as easy to qualify for those 4.99% it's incentives as they seem to make it, which is a really scary component to that process.
Well, and also sometimes, what they advertise is like if all the stars align, and then somebody might make the decision or fall in love with this particular house or deal or whatever. And then they say, okay, now let's go see if we can get you that mortgage. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
we can't quite get you that mortgage because your credit's a little bit this way, or your loan to value is a little bit off, or,
Yeah.
it just depends on every circumstance. So before you really know if you have that incentive, you have to go through that work to see if you're really getting it or not.
Absolutely. Alan Oshiro. Hey, Alan, thanks for joining us as always. Alan's asking a really great question that I think that would be a good combo to have. Builders are offering incentives on inventory, meaning the homes that are either about to be done or that have been sitting because they haven't been purchased yet or fell out of contract, something of that nature. Can you get the same or more incentives on the model homes? Great question, Alan. Do you want to touch on that? I can touch a little bit if not.
Yeah, I mean, builders will offer incentives on whatever houses they're trying to sell.
Yeah.
So for obvious reasons, they're typically not selling their model homes until the very end. And fun little fact, and I don't know if this is happening much in the industry anymore these days, but used to be that what they would do is they'd sell the model homes to investors on day one. And so
Oh,
those ones would never actually be sold by the builder at the end of the project. So, but
yeah.
regardless of how they want to sell it, if they're selling it at the end of the project, they've sold everything that they need to sell. Now they want to sell off the model homes. If they've been using incentives to sell the houses that they've been selling, they're likely to be using those same types of
Yeah.
incentives. The price is probably going to be higher because they put in all the best things.
Right.
But that, again, just depends. Lots of times they're trying to wrap up a project. And so sometimes you can find a great deal on those houses.
Yeah. The biggest thing in terms of finding the best deal in a new home community is being ready to move quickly, not wanting to being okay with not choosing every piece and component to the home, like taking a home that someone else might have customized that fell through, or that the builder themselves, which a lot of them are doing. They're building spec homes where they're choosing the most popular flooring, the most popular paint colors, the most popular countertops and cabinets that by large is being chosen by most people. They're going ahead and making that choice for you and just keeping the ball rolling so they can keep their numbers where they're supposed to be as far as output. So with all that being said, if you can be nimble, you can be flexible, you cannot be too choosy picky, you can get the best deal to be had is going to be on something that's a standing inventory or about to be standing inventory home. And in fact, if you as realtors who are watching this, when I say that the most important part of the process is building that relationship with your on-site sales rep, this is where you really come and flex for your clients, because the on-site sales rep is not going to just lay out everything that's available to the client in front of them. They're going to try to get them to spend the most money possible. They're also going to try to get them to close a home. So there's this weird balance, right? If you have that amazing relationship up front, it's as easy as a phone call or a text saying, hey, John, I've got a buyer that's looking at this, who's looking for these incentives. What do you got that's going to be available within the next 20 days or something, 30 days? They will come to you, or they will come to you in advance and go, hey, I got one that's about to fall out. Do you have anybody that can buy this? It's a beautiful relationship when you have access to the inventory that nobody else knows about. It's really, really cool. But yeah, the best deal, Alan, you're going to get is not necessarily on the model homes. Most of the time, those are going to be, a bidding war depending. But usually it's going to be the standing inventory. And I've negotiated some sick deals on standing inventory that just, for whatever reason, they're like, we got to get out. And I knew the agent before, and he let me know before the deal fell out. Got to get out of this neighborhood. This is the last house. I've negotiated $60, $70, $80,000 off of the house just from timing and knowing who I'm working with. So go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to mention here, in the builder world, the thing that is motivating the builder is velocity and turnover. So when I worked for a builder, I was the person I was the VP of construction finance. So I was the one that negotiated all of the deals for the builder with big banks like Wells Fargo. And what the builder is trying to do is they're trying to release, like, let's call it 6 or 8 lots, and then sell those and take that money. Once those are sold, take that money to build the next 6 to 8, and they revolve through it. It's called a revolver. And so when the builder's worst nightmare, because what makes or breaks a successful project for a builder is the velocity, right? So what a builder's worst nightmare is, Johnny comes through the door, Johnny picks all of his options and upgrades, Johnny gets right to the finish line and doesn't close on the house. And now the builder is stuck holding this house that is to Johnny's liking. And they got to go out there and find a buyer who now matches Johnny's liking. So if you are that buyer, that builder is going to love you, and you can turn that love into incentives for you.
And the way that happens is through a realtor. Yes, they will throw out incentives all day, but to make it happen and to find out before everybody else does is having a good realtor by your side.
What will happen lots of times is, lots of times those sales agents there will have kind of their short list of agents that they have relationships with, and they'll call those agents before it kind of hits the general public and say, hey, this one just fell out. Tell me if you got anybody that matches up with these particular wants and needs, and that's how you get them.
Yep, absolutely. I went ahead and threw the scan me. This is my QR code. If you guys are interested in thinking about moving to Vegas or interested in learning more about new builds, I absolutely built my entire career on new builds as an agent because they were the prettiest homes to show and they were the easiest ones to get into. And I became quite good at it and really built some great relationships with every single builder in town. So scan that if you want to chat with me. I'll throw up for realtors who might be watching. I'll throw up. I will put up. Sorry, Cody's here in a second. Couple more questions and then we're going to move on from incentives, but this one's a really good one. Clark said, hey, Clark, thanks for joining us. I'm seeing some builders offering lower interest rates, but the APR might be a little higher, 4.99, but with an APR of 5.47. Does the APR have you paying more in fees? Cody, what say you?
Oh man, APR. So an APR is, in theory, it's taking the cost of it's the total cost of the money you're borrowing, including the interest rate on the note plus it's supposed to work in what the other fees are to get it. So remember how I was just mentioning earlier that there's the rate and then there's the cost to get that rate. APR in theory is taking the extra cost to get that rate and putting them into the deal and giving you an effective interest rate over the lifetime of that loan. So
Right.
in theory, this is a really cool thing because it lets you compare apples to apples. In practice, it's pretty tough because one, the costs that do and don't get included in the APR to me are kind of wonky. They change from time to time. It just makes it a little difficult to kind of rely on it fully. And then the other thing that makes it difficult about that is that it is assuming that you're going to keep the mortgage for the entire duration of the term, and hardly
Which almost
anybody.
never happens anymore. Nobody keeps
Yeah.
a house 30 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not that the APR has you paying more in fees, but the APR being higher than the interest rate does indicate that there are some fees associated with getting that money, so that it's giving you a total cost of the money. And
Right.
so that is something that you want to look at. And you're bringing up another point, I think maybe even just indirectly, that which is that, again, the builders might be advertising a really low rate, but at what cost is that happening? And you
Right.
want to make sure you're available, or you're aware of that.
Absolutely. So there's let's talk about the kind of great answer, by the way. Thank you for see you guys see why I bring my mentor onto these live streams. Like I can explain stuff, but he explains it in an educational fashion to where I'm just like, I feel like I'm in a class again. This is the best. So thank
Sorry,
you,
I
Cody.
went into like teaching realtor mode there for a
No,
second.
no, no. I love that's why you're here. This is why you're here. I definitely want to make sure that, we're talking about it. So again, if you're watching and you have questions about new builds, about incentives, about the process, please let us know. One of the things I think is important for us to talk about is not only for the realtors that might be watching and wanting to learn from you and from but really it's understanding the real cost versus the model home, like what, or the real inclusions versus the model home. So we said it a little while ago that the model home is decorated, it's dialed in, it's unbelievable. You walk in and it's your dream home. What many people don't realize is that some builders even build those homes with features that they don't even offer to you as a buyer. I never could understand why they did that. I started as a couple luxury builders do that. And I finally started asking, why do they put a waterfall in the living room if I can't buy a waterfall in the living room? Like, I don't understand. They said, we're just helping you dream a little dream. We're helping you dream and think of what's possible. I'm like, but it's not possible because you don't give it. What you don't provide it. How do I get it? So, but beyond something like a living room waterfall, which I'm genuine about that, there was a massage room in the middle of a living room one time, a glass massage room. I was like, what are we doing? And why, if I want this, how come I can't get it? But it's simple things like flooring, paint, even like how in the ceiling they do those beams, those wood beams, accent walls, all these beautiful things that may not be available, or if they are available, they're not going to be available on a home that might have that ultra incentive unless the person who fell out or the builder chose that for the home. So a lot of people, when they're looking at model homes, fall in love, get mesmerized, and then when they get their home or they go and start to look at what's included in theirs, they go, well, how much are those counters that are in the model home? Oh, that's a $74,000 upgrade. Oh, well, those are the counters I want. Well, that's a $74,000 upgrade. So if you're going to build from scratch, typically it's anywhere from 4 to 10 months, sometimes 12, depending. Every builder's different. The process of doing that is awesome, and you can go through the process of choosing what you want. But oftentimes, the moment where you get to where you go, wait a minute, I'm here to choose my floors, and you're not even offering the floors that I want, and you won't let me buy a house without floors. So that I can do it later. What do I do here? Is past that point where you can cancel and get your money back, which we're going to talk about in a minute. There's costs associated with making your house look like that model, and with the builder, it can sometimes be an exponential cost. And some builders only allow you to choose between a few different options. Also, they won't even let you choose what's out there. They'll have tiered options, and it can be kind of confusing. So just know when you go into a model home, this is for realtors also, ask the questions: what's standard, what's included, what options. Sometimes they'll have them on display, but make sure you're upfront asking those questions, because if you walk in and see a massage room, probably not going to be an option for you if that's why you're buying the house.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. One of the things that's great from a realtor's perspective about representing a buyer buying a new build is that there's inventory available, right? There's availability, but coming with that is the frustration of what you're just bringing up. And there was actually a joke going around in the industry for a while. It's been a few years since I've heard this, but there was one particular builder that had super nice model homes, but the base model was way, way less than that. And the joke was with that builder, if you wanted doors and windows, that was going to be extra. And it was only a little bit of a joke because I mean, it was like the most basic sinks, the
Yeah.
most basic counters. And so you literally had to pay a lot. It was a lot more than the sticker price for that house when you came out the door, for
Yeah.
sure.
When you make great relationships and build great relationships with the on-site sales staff, it can help and do wonders in this moment before you get too far. I've done this. It's a process that I go through with every person who wants to buy a new home, and I encourage any other realtors and any clients to ask this of whoever you're working with. If it's not me, which I can't understand why it wouldn't be me, but whatever. Anyway, is when you go to look at the model homes, fall in love. Go in, look at the models. This is amazing. Find the one that you really like, the layout that you like, or maybe there's multiple. Allow your realtor to ask then the sales rep, do you have any that are under construction right now that we could walk through? Do you have any that have already closed or they're about to close that we could just pop through and see what it looks like, not model, right? Not modeled out, not with furniture, not with the extra blah, 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 blah. I've had at least 4 clients make a hard no decision off of walking in from the model to some of the things that would have had the same floors, same cabinets, same counters that they would have chosen. But once they saw the house without all the beauty, all the lighting, all the music playing, all the beautiful furniture, and they realized it wasn't as sexy or as appealing to them as it was, they were just being mesmerized by the model. They've hard no, and we moved on with our shopping experience. So if you have the relationships, they'll let you do that. They'll let you go and look at standing inventory that might be available. They'll also take you through something that's not buyable, right? It's not for sale anymore because someone owns it, but it hasn't closed yet. And they'll let you just do a comparison. It is a crucial part of the process, in my opinion, at least for when we work with people with new homes, if possible, if there's availability.
It's great if somebody else hasn't lived in the home yet, but that means that they also haven't paid to put in a lot of the things that you're going to be paying to put in. So,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
typically window coverings, lots of times those are things that you're absolutely going to do. Most people don't like to live in a house that you can't close any blinds or prevent people from
Right.
seeing in your windows, right? So,
Yeah.
and then typically the backyard, you'll have a certain amount of time that you, per the bylaws of the community, you have to put in a backyard by a certain amount of time. And you just got to make sure you factor in what the costs of those that are associated with
Yeah.
it, right? So if you're looking for like that dream backyard that you can host barbecues for all of your friends in, you either need to understand what it's going to take you to get there, or you're going to buy a resale where somebody else has already figured that out for you.
Right. Yeah. So I'd say a quick list of some of the things that are almost never included unless you have an awesome realtor or the builder is including it as an incentive. It's going to be most of the time you're not going to get any appliances other than a dishwasher, likely, and a stove, oven, the main stuff like a fridge, washer, dryer are most likely not going to come with your home. You will be buying it through the builder or after the fact and putting it in. Blinds are something that can be included these days, and I've seen a lot more builders start to include those. But blinds are expensive. Blinds can be really expensive. So if it's not included, it's not negotiated into the deal, be prepared for that expense. And you're going to need it quickly because we do live in Las Vegas. It is a little bit hot here. And if you're not in Las Vegas, you're still going to need it quickly because who wants your neighbor looking at your butt while you're getting out of the shower? Not me. To your point, the other stuff, backyard. So backyard, front yard is usually included with the new home. However, there's only a certain I lifespan or warranty, both lifespan and warranty on the front yard plants that they put in. Now the model home always has lush, beautiful, the perfect, wow, this is front yard. But if you turn your head and look at the houses across the street from the model, you'll see that there's a sprout, a shrub, and maybe a cactus that are included. That's what you get. So if you want it to look like the model, that's out of pocket. If not, they'll warranty it also because those plants have been sitting there with nobody living there for a while now. They're only going to warranty it for a first 30 days or something crazy so that you can make sure that you're feeding the plants as need be. But the backyard is probably the biggest surprise to people, Cody. Also pool costs. And rules have gone up over the last several years. So if you are considering, to your point, Oasis backyard, everything included, a turnkey experience, new homes is probably not going to be for you. Or come prepared with what would you say for a standard backyard size in Vegas? Maybe 10 grand, 5 to 10 grand, depending.
Oh yeah, and you could spend millions back there if you want to, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, usually the very minimum standard is you have to put landscape rock in,
Yep.
and hopefully you'll put in at least some sort of greenery because people think you have to have a desert in your backyard. You can actually make your
Yeah.
backyard look very lush and green and still
Yeah.
be very much drought resistant and those kinds of
Yeah.
things. But yeah, probably you should probably factor in at least 10,000 just for a typical backyard to
Yeah.
put
Five,
in.
5 to 10, depending on how green you get, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But 10 is solid. And that's not for a large backyard. The other component that we want to make sure that we say out loud right now, which we'll talk a little bit more about next, which is timelines, but you will be required by signing on the dotted line and buying that home. There's 99% of the houses in Las Vegas have an HOA. There will be an HOA rule that states you only have a certain amount of time to where you have to do something with the backyard. You also have to get it approved through the HOA. Now, it's not a crazy experience. Most of the time, it's a pretty streamlined, submit it. It's all good, unless you're building a trampoline house that goes above the wall or something crazy. But not only is it, well, I'll just do that later, I don't need to put a backyard in right away. No, you might need to, you might have to, otherwise you'll start being fined. Pools and such are a whole different conversation, which we can talk about on another live stream. But just as a quick touch on that, rules, just in Las Vegas, if you're not in Vegas watching this, sorry, but just in Vegas, the rule with building a pool, permits take forever these days. Finding a good pool contractor is a whole nother ball game, because they seem to disappear overnight, which is really tough. But the ones that stay, are almost, I think it's almost triple the cost right now than it was even 3 years ago to put in a pool, which is a little bit insane to me. And then now the size of your pool is limited by law based on the water conservation efforts that are happening to 600 square feet. So you can't build a big pool. You can build a dip pool. You can build a gorgeous backyard, but you will be paying out quite a bit of money. Permitting and things like that have to be a part of the process, and that can put a lot of time in between you and your goal. And then, of course, having it approved by the HOA is a big component to the process, big piece of the process. I can't talk today. I don't know what's wrong with me. Cody, let's talk about contracts, timelines, and traps. Let's talk about how we as agents should be, and we do currently protect clients in this experience. From this perspective, please know this is a very different experience than buying a resale home. Completely different contracts. And the realtor has far less control, but has a lot more influence as long as we're by your side. So let's talk through that if you don't mind. Typically, resale versus new home. Resale, how many instances can you get out of the contract if you need to, Cody? Tell me this.
You read my mind. I was going to mention that one of my CE classes is called Seller Beware. And the reason it's called that is because the buyer has a lot of contingencies in the typical contract where they can get out of the contract without any penalty. Well, I think that the builders, they took the class many years ago and they've written their contract so that it's definitely more of a buyer beware. Their contract is way more one-sided favored to the seller than it would be typically in a resale transaction. And that's just speaking generally. It's not always the case like that, but generally speaking, that is a much more builder-friendly, seller-friendly contract than a resale.
Yeah, so a lot of people, when they enter into a contract for real estate, especially if people are coming from out of state, they assume, number one, that there's a lawyer involved. There's no lawyers involved here, not in Nevada at least. We're not a lawyer state. We work through escrow title companies, and we on our side will push you through the process as far as guiding you on the contract front. But even that is different and even more kind of cinched down when it comes to builders. Builder contracts are their own contracts. There is no, I'm going to go get a lawyer and get them to renegotiate. There is no, when they submit the offer or when they submit the contract for you to sign, that you then go get your lawyer to review it, mark it up, and then come back. None of that happens. You either sign it and buy the house, or you don't, and you don't buy the house. And that's the bottom line. There is no negotiation when it comes to the contract terms of anything related to the builder unless we talk to them up front and it's in writing as a part of our negotiation for the deal. It has to be done before you sign the contract. When it comes to new homes, when you put your earnest money deposit for them to hold that home for you and for us to start the process, you only have typically 5 days to cancel and get your money back. And after that, that money, unless barring some massive horrible thing that happens, that money is pretty much theirs. Sometimes you can negotiate it, but most of the time it's theirs. When you're in a resale deal, just the first 10 days is what we typically negotiate to give us a chance to kick the tires, check the house. That's one chance to cancel if need be, God forbid, but if need be, right, Cody?
Yeah, well, and you're bringing up another thing too that we should mention is that a lot of builders will require you to put a bigger deposit, bigger earnest money deposit based on which options and upgrades you choose. And
Yep.
the reason for that is because what I mentioned before, that they don't want to get stuck with the crazy things you chose. they want you to
Yep.
close on that house. And so like there might be a typical deposit to secure the transaction, but then when you choose your options and upgrades, sometimes
More.
that's as much as 25%, sometimes even 50% of the option and upgrade price. So if you chose
Yeah.
20,000 in incentives, you might be putting 5 to 10,000 more into that deal.
Yep.
And then if you cancel on that just because something changed or you changed your mind, you're probably not getting
Yep.
that money back.
So when you're buying resale, there are 4 to 5 to 6 maybe instances where we can help negotiate and get you out of it if God forbid something occurs in the new home builder contracts. Not only is it just that first 5 days, unless your loan doesn't go through, the expectation is you're giving up whatever money you've given them, as we've mentioned. But it becomes far less of a back and forth conversation. Once you're in and you're past that, it's more of just, we're going to update you on what's going on with your house. It's no longer, I have questions, I need this, can we make this change? Nope. It's, you're in, be happy with what you got, and don't throw a fit, at the end of the day. The only conversation that typically happens is lending stuff, whereas on the resale side, it's great, we can renegotiate repairs if need be. We can shift timelines if need be, if someone had something happen and we need to close a little earlier or a little later. When it comes to builders, it's lock, stock, and go. That's just kind of how it rolls. Really, really great comment here from Neil. Speaking of incentives, I remember in 2007, there was a builder offering a Mercedes in the garage with the purchase of your home. That's an incentive, you
There were
ask
more
me.
than one builder that were doing that. Yeah. You'd
This
close
is
on your house and there'd be a car in the garage.
I'll take it. I think
Yeah.
there's one trying to offer a Tesla right now, but the houses haven't been built. So I think this was just them trying to get funding. I don't know.
Yeah.
Matt says, can a realtor put a special addendum that gives the buyer an out to overwrite the seller's contract? LOL. Wouldn't that be lovely? When we are doing resale homes, there's a lot of addendums that can be done and a lot of renegotiation throughout the process. When we are doing new homes, where we protect you the most is in the beginning and throughout the lending process. And I'd like to just speak, if that's okay, Cody, to anybody who's watching us that is a realtor, somebody from your audience. Please, please, please know that it is no longer okay, never has it been okay, never should this ever be in your mind, that it's okay to sign your client in and never show back up for them again when it comes to builders. Builders can make it very difficult to be involved in the process for realtors. And so it's a deterrent. Oh, well, they've got you. They won't let me make any changes, but you do have power. You do have negotiability. You have to be smart and know the process, but it is never okay to just sign a client in and bounce. Sometimes it's such an easy process. You don't have to be involved, right? But you should be, and you should stay in the loop and do your best to understand if the client's being served as they should be by them. So please don't sign it and walk away. Please don't do that. It gives us a bad name as realtors, please.
Yeah. I one time had a new realtor say to me, "Hey, isn't new build preferred because you just open a water bottle and get paid a commission?" And I was
Oh,
like,
you bet.
wait a minute, what? I mean, that is definitely not how to be approaching it. And
I
I don't want to be represented by that particular realtor. Let's be better than that.
Absolutely. When it comes to building a home, so let's talk timelines just a little bit, is that, like I mentioned, if you're building from scratch and you're taking advantage of a 4.49, whatever, rate, and they're going to pay your closing costs and all this stuff's beautiful. We do a great job negotiating. We get it all dialed in. It's all written up. From the signing date all the way through the end can be anywhere depending, and we'll know at that time because they'll tell us, what the timeline looks like from 3 months, 1 month, 3 months, 10 months, 12 months. It depends, but we will know at that moment. Just because we know at that moment does not mean you should plan for movers to be moving in on that final day. Why is that, Cody?
Murphy's Law happens, and these construction timelines are just estimates, and they don't always happen the way that you think they're going to happen. You
Yeah.
definitely got to be flexible, because it's kind of funny to me from the buyer's perspective. It feels like, and there's a little bit of truth to this, that the builder is saying, just wait till I get it done. Just be patient while I get it done. And then one day they call you and say, it's done. You got to move in tomorrow.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it doesn't, I'm exaggerating. It doesn't have to be like that. But sometimes the builders seem to not remember that you're like moving your whole family and your belongings and everything that's coming with you, and that's a lot of
Yep.
logistics for you to deal with. But just be prepared to be pretty flexible on that timing. And sometimes those things get delayed by not just days and not just weeks. Sometimes it's even months that they get delayed by.
I had a client building a semi-custom home with a builder who, number one, made them purchase the land cash, no loan allowed, before they would even break ground on the home, which was like $600,000 or $700,000 cash. So that's money that could have been earning interest for you in another investment that's
Yep.
just sitting, waiting for them to just the land to build the house. And then their building timeline was pushed back by a year. Actually 13 months. So they had to wait an additional 13 months beyond the first year. So it took 2 years to build a home that should have absolutely taken 10 months, done right and done whatever. So please know I don't really work with that builder very often anymore. And I try to let my clients know about that experience so they can make the best decision for themselves. However, it's a real thing. It's a real possibility. Most builders, though, because of the way the market has been, are a little bit ahead of schedule when it comes to spec homes. So that's why a lot of them are going to want to push you to just buy one that's already ready, buy one that's about to be ready, buy one that's going to be ready in the next 2, 3, 4 months, because they're going to keep churning that butter anyway and building it out. And they're going to want to sell you one of those first before they're going to sell you something that you can build from scratch. You're allowed to do whatever you want. It's all based on inventory, but just something to keep in mind. Timelines can and will shift, but objects in the mirror are definitely larger than they appear, basically, is it's the way I like to look at it.
You just mentioned another thing too that I hadn't been thinking of, and that is that, remember how I mentioned that they'll release 6 to 8 lots at a time?
Yep.
Sometimes if you want that corner lot that's up in the back corner and they're releasing this front corner lots, they're not getting that till the end, and they won't sell you that one until the end.
Yeah, and not only that, they will elevate the price every time they start with a new release. So instead of doing 4 or 5 houses at a time, we got to get these sold first. When they release the next ones, they usually go up between $4,000 to $10,000 depending on the market. Next. So by the time they get around the neighborhood, all the way over to that corner lot, I just had this happen with a client. The corner lot that you really want, you will be paying more than what you were told. You will be paying they will not have those incentives available, or they might not have those incentives available. And so that's why the standing inventory stuff is a lot easier to work with when it comes to builders, because there's so many factors that people don't realize when they're walking in. So
And
I'm
some of the
hoping this
lots,
is, oh, go
some
ahead.
of the
Sorry.
lots have a lot premium associated with them.
Yep.
And they don't know yet what that lot premium is going to be, because they just haven't really, their mind is focused over here. They're not really focusing on that particular lot that you're interested in. So you might hold out waiting for it, saying, I know I'm going to pay extra, but that's okay. And then that lot premium is like the highest one that they've had in the neighborhood.
I had do you want to hear about a lot premium story that I just occurred a few months ago? So this is a luxury builder. Some clients are purchasing a home a year ago. They went into contract on this home. They built it from scratch. They went through the process of doing extra deposits to build the floors and the this and the, I mean, they customized the home to their liking. Beautiful, beautiful home in Summerlin. Before they could get into contract for the home, they were in line for the home. They wanted a specific lot. They were I want this lot and this lot only. They would not let up. The builder decided to inform us that they're doing a lottery bids, like eBay bids, basically, for the lot. They're not telling you what anybody else is bidding. They won't tell you what anybody else is bidding. They're just going to let you guys know you have to pay us money. You have to put a deposit down to even be able to bid. You only get certain period of time to do it. We'll release it via email, and you got to get your bid in, and then it is a highest and best. And my clients ended up bidding over $600,000 on just the lot itself to make sure they got the house that they wanted. Thankfully, and not thankfully, but thankfully, they weren't just willy-nilly overbidding and like nobody else was even competing with them. So maybe they didn't have to pay that amount. There was absolutely competition in the running. So thankfully, we got enough information through our relationships with the on-site agent to let us know kind of the type of buyer that we're up against, but they legally were not even allowed to tell us what the other bids on the other community lots have been. But they have been doing this with this specific neighborhood. This builder on just lot premiums alone on 3 lots I'm aware of, the builder has made an additional $4 million just on 3 lots from people outbidding. Oh no, 4 lots, pardon me, 4 lots. Isn't that nuts? That's crazy. So, and again, you may not be in that kind of a scenario, but this is the trap. This is the timeline. This is the stuff that people don't think about or know about. And it can be very discouraging if you get your heart set on something that's not quite going to pan out for you, unless you have an extra 600K. Let's see here. Okay, let me see. Oh, this is a good one. Mrs. Number One Fan, when we got in Cadence, our realtor did just that. She signed us in, collected the commission. She did nothing else. Fortunately, we had a great experience with the sales team from Richmond. I'm glad you had a good experience. Sometimes it can feel like your realtor's not doing anything if nothing needs to be done. So I do want to make sure that I say out loud that the realist, that when it comes to being a realtor in a new home community, helping your clients, being involved in the front part of it is probably the most experience that you're going to receive when it comes to the realtor. And it may also feel like they're not really involved because they don't need to be, right? The builder's got it. They're working you through the system and the process. But making sure that they're checking in on you is definitely, I think, a minimum. But it happens. Sometimes it does happen. I'm sorry you had that experience. We really do our best to not do that. And then there's times where people will sign them in and we're getting updates just like they are. And, it is what it is. And by the end of it, it's like, well, that was easy. That was really cool. But it shouldn't be so easy that you as a client don't feel supported. Oops, I'm bumping my
Well,
computer here.
and for all the realtors listening, this is really, really important. What Lacey just brought up. You got to be communicating with your clients so that they know that there is something happening. I one time had somebody on my team, and she got to the very end of the transaction, and the clients had very similar feedback that of what this viewer just said. And I was like, oh my gosh, because I had seen her doing tons of work, constant communication with the builder, making sure that this didn't happen and that didn't happen to protect the buyer, making sure that the walkthrough got set up correctly. And it turned out to be a super smooth transaction for the buyer. And the buyer wasn't even really aware of the fact that that was because of the realtor's work. So make sure you're communicating, not like trying to go to your client and pat yourself on the back all the time, but that is your client's home that they're going to be moving into to live in. And so it's an important thing to them, and you need to make sure that they know it's an important thing to you.
Absolutely. I love it. I think we're giving such good advice, not only to buyers and sellers, but to also just to people who are considering getting into real estate or who are in real estate and have never really worked in the way that we think is the right way to work with a new build, or ever never worked with a new build at all. If you are someone who's thinking about getting into real estate, or you're a realtor now and you aren't already tuned into my friend Cody here, there's an awesome scan me on the front. I have to do this because I forgot to change the font color, but there's a QR code here. Cody's amazing. He's my mentor in this business. He's been kind enough and generous enough to devote every day in August to doing live streams on his channels. And then sometimes we're going to combine efforts like we did today, because we feel like this is a conversation that everyone needs to be having, not just realtors behind, the door having a secret conversation, but in front of you guys, so that you guys are aware, you as buyers and sellers are aware, and you as realtors are aware that this is an open conversation, an open forum. We're really trying to change the industry. And I think we're doing it with stuff like today, what we're doing today. So thank you so much for that. Cody, I'm going to pop over to the comments and just say hi to a few people while we're here. If you're watching, hey, Neil from the Pacific Ocean, he's watching from the Pacific Ocean. Neil, I got to say hi to you when you come back in town. We did not catch up last time. If you're watching us live, please always let us know that you're here. We want to say hi on any platform that you're watching from. Cody and I are doing this on two different types of platforms, one focused to buyers and sellers and one focused to realtors. We'd love to hear from you. If you're watching this on replay, which we hope you are, please still drop it in the comments below. Let us know what questions you have. We're going to go back through and try to bring up these questions in future live streams, because Cody, don't know if you know this, but we're both going live again tomorrow on our own channels talking about our own different things. Am I right?
Yeah, this is going to be my first live where I'm the one that has to drive the bus. So I'm a little scared about that.
Woo! I'm pushing my friend here because he's been so good to me in the industry and so good at making me better at what I do for you, my clients, that I got to push him to be the best he can be. And for all the people who can learn from him to be able to see him loud and hear him loud and clear. Okay. So Neil Warren said, hi, let's see. David Matney. Hello from Omaha, Nebraska. Hey, David, good to see you. I love your photo there. That's an amazing photo. Strike Force watching here and excited to learn. Thank you so much for being here. Generation Retro from North Las Vegas. Thanks for joining us today. Sue J from Vancouver, Canada. I love that we have people from everywhere. Hey, Sue.
Hey, my mom's Canadian and she grew up in Vancouver. So I love that one.
I love that. I think that's the Sue that I might have met with, if I'm not mistaken, when she was in town. You still have my sunglasses. So let's figure out a way to get those back from you. I love it. Clark's saying that that's a good course to offer realtors. And that's when we were talking earlier about that, the dirty secrets of the lending industry, the mortgage industry. What's it called? Yep. Dirty secrets?
Yeah, you got it.
Look at me. I'm getting there. And then let's see who else has joined us. I'm just so excited. You guys were so amazing. Hey, Linda. Hey, Stephen from Hawaii. Linda's here from Chicago. This is amazing, nice. Clark. from Atlanta, Georgia. And oh, Sue said she has my sunglasses still. That's amazing. Sue, you are such a doll. I got to tell you, I met with Sue. We met at the pool. See, guys, I'm fun. I meet you out and about. We met at the pool at, I think it was Park MGM, if I'm not mistaken, and had just the most lovely conversation. I left feeling like I had a new friend. I think I did leave with a new friend. And I can't wait for you to come back, Sue. Thank you for meeting with me. Uh-oh, what happened?
Something just fell off my computer screen. It's all right.
Oh my God, that was awesome. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for letting us know. Atlanta, Hawaii, Chicago. We've got somebody from the Pacific Ocean calling in. We've got so many people joining us. North Las Vegas. I'm really excited that you're here live. If you are enjoying what Cody and I are doing, please do us a favor and just say so in the comments. It really helps us in giving us good feedback. If you're thinking about moving to Vegas, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you right now to scan this code. Let's set up a conversation. I don't care when you're moving. I just want to give you good advice. And Cody, I don't know who's watching this right now, but I know that there will be somebody soon who's watching that wants to talk to you about maybe learning more about the real estate component of how to be a good realtor and just really learning more about our synergy group that you've created and all the amazing things. So scan this if you're watching, if you're a realtor. Cody definitely wants to say hi to you.
Even if you're not in Las Vegas, I love talking to realtors. I like to keep my ear to the ground on what's happening in our business, in our industry. There's a lot of changes happening right now. It's just a lot of things. There's pressures on us. And I just, the more we can be talking with each other, I think the better,
Yeah.
the more that we collaborate together, especially if we're in different markets so we can stay aware of what's going on. I want to hear from you. So please do.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love this. Oh, Southern Highlands checking in and late in the game. Hey, Maki 702. Love that you joined us today. Thank you so much. Really, really happy that you're here. I love that we've got some Vegas people in on the stream today, too. This has been so fun. So let me wrap it up by saying, you know, we are speaking to every day of this month, by the way. Both Cody and I are going live for one thing or another. So stay tuned to both of our channels. My channel, if you're a buyer seller, if you're a realtor, please go to Cody's MBA Farmer channel. It's all in the links below in the descriptions. Please, 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 because he's got some really good stuff coming up for realtors. To wrap this up, though, we talked about new builds today. We talked about some of the timelines that you need to be aware of, some of the big mistakes you can make if you don't have a realtor by your side. As a realtor, big mistakes you can make by not protecting your client and thinking through some of these things. Costs associated, what you get versus what you think you're getting. We really covered quite a bit, but the biggest thing that I think we covered was the incentives game that's happening right now, where every builder and their mama is out there offering what you believe to be something that's maybe too good to be true, and it just might be. So please do us a favor, reach out to me, reach out to your trusted realtor, whoever you're working with. Let them know that if you're looking at new homes, they need to know sooner rather than later, and ask them some of the questions that we covered today, because if they're not asking these questions on your behalf, maybe it's time to find another realtor, or maybe you turn them on to Cody and get them trained up so they do right by you. What do you think, Cody?
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm game.
Awesome. Tracy says, thumbs up to this video and others coming this month. Tracy, thank you. And David, I could kiss you. What a doll. Don't forget to give the stream a thumbs up. Please do that on any and all of the platforms. Cody, 2 down, my friend. 2 out of 20 live streams down. Are you excited?
I am. I'm feeling pretty good about this, and hopefully they keep going this well.
Cody's going to be interviewing a lender this week, I believe, and a couple
Tomorrow.
of really awesome tomorrow, and some veteran realtors in this industry that have been doing it 47 years. Like, you guys, Cody's lineup is legit. Mine is not quite out there as much as his is, but the ones that he and I are doing together are. Tomorrow, I'm going to be going to a small business and going live and just answering your questions. So stay tuned for where I'm going to be. Maybe you can pop by and say hi if you're here local. But otherwise, we're going to let you guys go. If you're watching this on replay, please still comment. Let us know. We're so grateful for your time. Cody, thank you for doing this with me. It means so much.
Thanks for pushing me into the deep waters.
I'm trying. Have a wonderful Monday, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Tomorrow.
See ya.
See you then. Bye.